Hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing the demographic transition model from Chapter 2 of the AP Human Geography textbook. Before we get to the model, however, there are some definitions that we will need to go over. CBR. CBR stands for crude birth rate, and that is how many people are born every year for every 1,000 people in the population.
CDR. This stands for crude death rate. This is rather the opposite of CBR and is how many people die every year in a population for every 1,000 people.
NIR stands for natural increase rate. This is the CBR, which is the crude birth rate, minus the CDR, which is the crude death rate. So basically, it is the net change in a population, usually expressed as a percentage.
IMR stands for infant mortality rate. This is how many infants per every 1,000 die in a year.
ZPG stands for zero population growth, and that is when the population isn't growing because the same number of people are being born as they are dying.
TFR stands for total fertility rate. This is basically how many children the average woman in a population will have over her lifespan.
Life expectancy is how long the average person lives in a population. This can be based on social customs, sanitation, or medical technology, like the discovery of penicillin. Population pyramids are useful for geographers when determining the stage in which a country is in the demographic transition. By definition, a population pyramid is a bar graph representing the distribution of population by age and sex at one point in time. The bars on the left represent males and the ones on the right, females. Each bar is the percentage that each gender age group, takes up in the whole population. There are three types of population pyramids. Growing population pyramids means that there's a bigger base of younger generation than there is of the older generation, so it looks more of the shape of a triangle. A stationary population pyramid means that the older generation is the same size as the younger generation. And a declining population pyramid shows us that the older population is more numerous than the younger generation.
Doubling time, while not as important to the demographic transition model, is also a good term to know. This is the time that it takes for a population to double in size from any point in time.
The demographic transition model was developed in 1929 by the American demographer Warren Thompson. This model predicts that a country will move through 4 or 5 stages in its population growth over time. Stage 1 is a period of low growth. Stage 2 is a period of high growth. Stage 3 has population growth but less than Stage 2. Stage 4 has almost no population growth. And finally, Stage 5, although not officially a stage, is a possible stage that includes zero or negative population growth. Now, let's go through the stages one by one and decipher what makes them special.
Alright, let's take a look at a graph representing the different stages of the demographic transition model. As you can see at the bottom, the blue curve will represent the crude birth rate, and the red curve will represent the crude death rate, whereas the black curve will represent the total population of some region, say, a country. So during stage 1, as you can see on the left, the CBR and the CDR are both very high. This means that population is essentially not growing at all because people are having a lot of children to make up for all the people that die to things like war and famine and disease. Then we move on to stage 2. During this stage, the CDR drops a lot, but the CBR remains pretty similar. This is because of developments in things like medicine that prevent people from dying as much. Hence, there will be a huge burst in population growth, and population, that black curve there, will increase a lot. Then we move on to stage 3. During this stage, people start to realize that this kind of uncontrolled population growth might not be sustainable. So basic things like technology involving birth control and social practices, as in having less children and Planned Parenthood, start to decrease the CBR faster than the CDR is decreasing. And the CDR is still decreasing because medicine is still getting better. But the CBR starts to approach the CDR, and the growth starts to slow down. Then we reach stage 4. Essentially, the CBR has met the CDR, the population is at its peak, but it's not increasing anymore. This is the stage of many developed countries. Next, we move to stage 5. Now, this isn't an official stage, but many believe that a stage exists based on countries like Germany and Japan that now have decreasing populations.